Warframe's PvP is approaching 1 week old, and I wanted to go ahead and work through some of the balance concerns that I have about PvP and its current state and what I think DE could do to make PvP a little bit better of an experience. Let's get started. So primarily I'm just going to be going through like some of the main broader concepts within PvP that I think are a little bit overpowered or underpowered in their current state. Right now the Strun Wraith is pretty powerful. It's my main weapon. It's like all that I use in PvP. I'm not entirely sure if it needs nerfs or not, like maybe a very slight damage nerf possibly, but not entirely sure if that's absolutely necessary or not. Volt, on the other hand, I think he does need a little bit more tweaking, a little bit more of a nerf. I've been playing Volt since day one, and all he's gotten, I think, was a shock damage nerf. Volt needs a few more changes to make him a little less viable, because right now he is like the god Warframe. He has too much utility, and his number one, his electric shock, which allows him to do damage while still moving and still firing his main weapon, pretty much guaranteeing a kill on any enemy who is hit by, you know, a primary weapon plus shock. Like, they will pretty much instantly melt. His 2 also costs 25 energy, and it speeds him up, allowing his coptering speed to go to absurd levels, and it's not possible for anyone to catch him. If he's able to pop that speed and get around a corner, he's freaking gone, man. You can't do anything. So maybe increasing the energy cost of speed to 50, or increasing the energy cost of lightning bolt to 50, or just something. There needs to be something done to decrease the utility of Volt. His shield is still great. It costs only 50 energy, and it does almost as good of a job as Frost Snow Globe. Plus there's an augment, which if a teammate runs through that shield, they regain 100 shields. So not only is that teammate that runs through your shield going to be protected by it, not be able to be shot, he's going to regain more than half of his health. Like, it's just a little much. And this is all not even to mention Volt's ultimate, the Overload, which you can cast in a random secluded corner so you don't get killed, and it will travel through walls, up and down through geometry, and it will kill anything in a cylinder around you that is ever growing and ever largening, I guess. It's very, very powerful ult that will insta-gib any enemy that's inside of it. Granted, I'm not entirely positive if it will give a Iron Skin Rhino or like a multiple shield polarized mag. I'm not entirely sure the exact damage number that it does, but I mean, most of the time it's not going to be a concern. You're going to be gibbing pretty much everybody. For example, in some of these clips that you're going to be seeing, I don't know, probably right here, I'll try and stick one in right about here, is where you can go underneath the enemy base in the indoor corpus tile set, and you can just mash your 4 button, and that wall of death will expand all the way through the enemy base, and even go slightly into the staircase spawn as well. So you will very often, you know, get at least 1 kill, if not an entire like enemy team kill. Great to use while they have the Cephalon and they're waiting at their base for teammates to return. Like, you are pretty much guaranteed kills there, because like they don't even hear it coming, don't see it coming, and a lot of times they can't react. And even if they can, they're in such a bad position that no matter where they go, they're going to be running into the Overload. So very, very powerful. No other ultimate in the game, at least in PvP right now, is as powerful as Volt's Overload. It's stupidly good in its current state. Potential ways to fix Overload might be, instead of it being just a one-shot instant kill, maybe make it do significant damage over time. So maybe if you stand within it for 3/4 of a second, you will die. But it's not just an instant one-shot if you barely, you know, get a fingernail stuck in there. Like, it should just deal heavy damage over time or something. So you do have a chance to just eat like half of your health or 3/4 of your health in damage, but get out of there and not instantly die. That could be a potential fix to it, maybe. Next up, I wanted to talk about Rhino's Charge and Excalibur's Slash Dash. The main thing that's stupid about these is that you're completely invincible during the casting animation. So if you have an enemy Cephalon and you have a lot of energy, you can just mash your 1 key and you will stop taking damage. You can cover half the map and get a free capture on the Cephalon if you just keep mashing this over and over, and enemies cannot kill you while you're doing these abilities. So like, that's like completely ignoring the fact that you can use it in combat and, you know, the way it's supposed to be used, which is to deal damage to enemies. Like, you're invincible while doing it, so even if they have a perfect beat on you and they shoot you right between the eyes with the Paris Prime, you will take 0 damage if you're in that casting animation. So it just seems like there's no reason for that invincibility to be there. Mag doesn't have invincibility when casting her one. No other Warframes have invincibility when casting any of their abilities. It's just just Excalibur and Rhino when they use their number 1, and that's not conducive to good PvP. Just like some of the next stuff that I'm going to talk about. So Kogake or Amprex or whichever fist-based weapon is in PvP right now. I think it's the Kogake. The fact that you can just spam your crouch melee or your slide melee, and it gets a free knockdown on every hit, and you are very, very difficult to be hit while doing that. It's just, I don't know why DE thought it was a good idea for PvP would be to put stuns in. So abilities that will stun you as a Warframe. So Mag's Pull is another example of this, where you get hit by Mag's Pull or you get hit by the Kogake slide melee attack. You will be knocked down or staggered, and you will be stunned. You can't move, you can't react. You are forced to just sit there and get wrecked. Like you can't do anything about it. The only thing you could possibly do is if you have the handspring mod, which luckily enough does spawn, or does drop as a very rare reward from playing Conclaves. I just got my first one earlier this morning, and I've been playing Conclaves all week, and I'm already at the highest rank, and blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. So it is something that will drop and you can use, but if you don't have that, like the Kogake and Mag's Pull just seem really stupid and anti-competitive. I'm not going to say they're overpowered or they're too strong. It just kind of ruins the whole concept of PvP. Like you want to be proving that you're more skilled than other players, or that you're better than other players, and being able to just mash your crouch melee over and over and over doesn't equate to skill, in my opinion. Like, shooting an enemy, accurately with a Latron Prime or a Strun Wraith, tracking them at point blank where they're able to move absolutely the most quickly they can. That seems like skill to me, but mashing your melee button just doesn't seem like it takes a whole lot to do well, and it's just kind of like you're more just praying that you're able to get the hits that you need to get the kill, as opposed to actually trying to use your melee properly. And this is another problem that I have actually with Bow Prime. Currently, Bow Prime has the longest reach of any melee weapon in PvP. It is the best coptering weapon in PvP, and it has the best range of any melee weapon in PvP. There is no reason to use any other melee weapon in PvP as it stands right now, unless you want to cheese people with Kogake. If you're not cheesing people with Kogake, then you should be using Bow Prime for its very, very, very reliable, fast damage, and it doesn't lock you into a big long animation like the Fang Prime does. The Fang Prime is probably the next best coptering weapon, but it does very terrible damage, it has very terrible range, and if you press E, you're going to be locked into that animation for a very long time before you actually put your dual swords back away and you can start firing your gun again. It's not the case in any of those fashions with Bow Prime. Bow Prime does big damage, has big range, has a big slide radius. It's just the best melee weapon right now, and there's no competing against it. I really think that needs to be nerfed for sure, and I think melee in general needs to be nerfed, except for Fang Prime. And I'm not saying that because I use Fang Prime. I only use that because it's the only melee weapon that's allowed in PvP that I have. I don't want to use Fang Prime. That thing sucks. It's crap in its current state. But I don't think that it needs buffs. I think that the melee damage that it does is appropriate. I think that it shouldn't do a whole lot of damage. I think that it should be based upon movement and shooting, with melee being secondary if you run out of ammo or you want to just get a slide attack in. That's where the damage should come from, not from WM1 and mashing E or whatever. That shouldn't be how it works. Blocking right now, blocking bullets, seems a little ridiculous. There have been many cases where someone is standing in a corner with a Cephalon holding their melee weapon and blocking, and I can unload 18 Strun Wraith shots into them. They're not even moving, they're just standing still and letting me do it. I can unload 18 Strun Wraith shots into them just back to back to back to back, and they will not stop blocking. They will block every single one, and I deal no damage to them. I'm not understanding if people are just not running out of stamina, or if it's constantly recharging while I'm shooting them and it's recharging fast enough that I'm not depleting all of it. I really don't know what's going on, but I'm just really not able to do any damage to someone who is just blocking and doing absolutely nothing else. So unless I go and get some energy and I just cast lightning bolts at them all day and kill them that way, which does work, thankfully, it seems like bullets weapons are completely useless if someone is actually blocking properly. So I don't understand why why the game is that way. You know, like if they want to be able to block some bullets and all that, that's fine. I understand that you want to do that. That's in Warframe. That's part of the game. But like, if they're able to block an entire magazine of my Strun Wraith and I can't do any damage to them, that's too much. Like, they should be able to block like 4, 5, maybe even 6 like buckshots from me. And then after that, they should be out of stamina and I should be able to kill them. Like, there's no reason for that. It's just complete overkill right now. The Latron Prime and Latron Wraith do seem to be pretty much in the exactly like right spot right now. They're doing very well in their current state. I can't say anything negative about them. Bratton is also doing fine. Maybe a very slight Bratton buff just because like I don't see many people using it. When I use it, it seems a little weak. Like it could do a little bit more damage, maybe 1 less bullet to kill, but not much more than that. So I would definitely try and say the Bratton series could use a slight damage buff. Lex is beautiful right now. It does a lot of damage, fires quickly. I haven't tried Lex Prime yet, so I haven't compared Lex Prime to Lex, but really, Lex is just, it's a beautiful weapon. You should definitely go for that if you're able to. Well, actually, well, you all can. Just buy 2 Lexes from the market and throw them together, and out comes an Lex from the foundry a day later. So I think that's probably one of the strongest melee or secondaries in the game right now. However, Sestra and Dual Sestra, I do think do a little too much damage. People are able to consistently get kills with those things before they even like fully ramp up and are firing at full rate of fire. Like they're just, I think they're a little too strong right now. Maybe like they're not terribly overpowered. They're not like a plague upon PvP, but you know, maybe a slight nerf I think would be in order for those. They're just doing too much damage. They're not very competitive in their current state, and that because like they're just a little too easy to use. Like I've tried them. Well, it's a single Sestra, and it just feels gross to me, and I had to sell it and just get rid of it because it didn't feel like I was playing fair when I used it. Kind of the same reason why I haven't gotten a Bow Prime and started using that yet too, because that just makes me feel dirty. But the Strun Wraith kind of doesn't make me feel as dirty, so I will continue justifying myself by using that overpowered thing. But who knows? I don't know. Moving along, I don't remember if I talked about this already. If I did, I apologize. Chroma feels a little bit weak right now. Could definitely use some changes to his 2 and 3 to make him a little bit more viable. Maybe a walking speed bonus while using his 1 would be cool too. He's kind of crawling while using that. It's not very good. Whereas Rhino's 2 and 3 seem like just the same abilities as Chroma, but better. Rhino's Stomp. I think that's actually broken right now. I don't think that that's working as intended at all. It doesn't seem to be doing any damage or anything. Like, it just seems like a waste of 100 energy because it doesn't actually accomplish anything when you do it. Like, I've never been killed by a Rhino Stomp. I've never seen anyone kill somebody with a Rhino Stomp, and I've never gotten a kill with a Rhino Stomp. So I kind of think that it's just not working at all. I don't think it's doing anything whatsoever. So that seems just a little bit, little broken. Maybe kind of, sort of broken, maybe. Currently, coptering does seem a little bit too powerful for flag carriers. If a flag carrier, you know, picks up the Cephalon and starts running by doing nothing but coptering and, you know, doing the slide flips all over the place, like, it's not possible for someone to chase them while shooting them and killing them. Like, they cannot go fast enough to actually keep up with that person and actually deal with them. Like, they have to preemptively be in position to deal with that, or they have to just stop what they're doing immediately, run to the enemy base and pull their flag. And it just seems like flag carriers are a little bit too powerful right now. Perhaps if they had an indicator over their head so you could see exactly where they are at all times, like much like Titanfall, or if they were just a little bit slower, they need some kind of debuff while holding that flag to give us a little bit better of an opportunity to know where they are or to deal with them straight up. They're a little bit too powerful in their current state, especially if they just have a Sestra in their hands, because they basically are holding a primary while using their while holding the flag in the other hand, and it's a little bit much in my opinion. So I think that needs to be looked at for sure. One more thing before I forget is that Warframe abilities are very spammable right now, especially Volts 1. Like, if you have a lot of energy, you can just keep throwing your 1 ability over and over and over and over with no cooldown in between, as long as you have the energy to do it. And it's like, it just does like so much DPS that like you can't really beat that, especially if you're combining like shooting your weapon in with it. So I guess this is coming back to Volt nerfs, but it seems like something that needs to happen across the board, especially with Excalibur and Rhino spamming their invincible charge or slash dash. over and over and over again. Like, I do think that there needs to be a ability cooldown in PvP that is separate from energy. So you need the energy to cast the ability. So even if you have 100 energy and you cast lightning, you cannot cast another one right away. You have a cooldown of like at least like a couple of seconds before you can cast it yet again. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to use other abilities. If I use a lightning and miss, and I'm like, oh crap, I still have 50 energy, and now that guy knows where I'm at, I want to drop a shield so he can't shoot back at me and I can still kill him. You should be able to do that, because that's a big energy investment, and that's fine. But like, if you're missing a lightning and you're able to just keep spamming one after the next, which, spoiler alert, I do all the time, it's just, it doesn't seem conducive to skilled play. It just seems like as long as you're able to hoard energy by coptering really fast all over the map, then it just removes a lot of the skill ceiling from the game. It makes it a lot easier in a bad way. So I think that needs to probably happen as well. And one last thing, Grakata is stupidly strong, and people aren't using it, and they really need to start using it. I'm really considering actually building one and buying a slot just for a Grakata, because like, it seems stronger than the Stren Wraith, and it seems like they have better range. It seems to have better DPS at close range and long range. Like, I don't know, man. That gun seems really, really, really powerful right now, and I don't see people using it. So I don't know how to comment on the balance quite yet, but stick around for that. So that's all I got for this time. That's all I can really think of. So thanks, guys, for watching. Hope you learned something new, and hope you start abusing the really OP stuff, because if D doesn't fix it, then that's just where the meta is going to go. So if you keep on abusing it, keep on breaking the game with it, then we're going to see the game approach better and better balance every single balance pass that they do. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something new, and we'll see you next time. Take care.